The stars had once belonged to humanity. Great fleets of ships traveled from system to system, humans exploring, trading, and learning. For centuries, humanity had been part of the Galactic Council, an alliance of dozens of intelligent species. But a single mistake, one miscalculation in a delicate negotiation, had cost humanity its place. Captain Alara Voss stood on the bridge of the Starship Odyssey, staring at the black expanse of the Shadow Expanse. The Council's decree had been clear: no human ships could enter the main star lanes. Any human found within the borders of Allied space would be seized. Humanity was exiled. She clenched her fists. "We survived worse than this," she whispered to herself. "Doctor." Kale Wren, the ship's chief scientist, joined her, holding a tablet filled with orbital scans and planet surveys. "Captain," he said, voice calm but tense, "our supplies are low. We need to find a habitable planet soon, or we risk losing half the crew before we even land." Alara didn't reply immediately. Her eyes followed the faint glimmer of distant stars. In exile, no one could help them. No one would deliver them food, water, or fuel. Everything depended on their own ingenuity. Finally, she said, "Then we find a planet. One we can live on, and one that will let us survive long enough to rebuild." The crew moved quickly. Ships that had once traveled among thriving civilizations now sailed through dangerous, unknown space. Sensors picked up meteor storms, radiation belts, and occasional rogue comets. Every day was a struggle. Weeks passed. Supplies dwindled. Tensions grew among the crew. Some argued over rations, others over priorities. But Captain Voss reminded them of one thing: humans survived because they adapted. It was in their nature. Then the scanners found it, a planet orbiting a small, yellow star. The atmosphere was thin but breathable, the surface dotted with mountains and plains. There was water. Enough to sustain life. The crew cheered quietly in the control room. For the first time since exile, hope glimmered. Alara's voice cut through the celebration. "We land carefully, survey the environment. This is our chance, our only chance." The descent was tense. The planet's gravity was slightly higher than Earth's. Some crew members struggled to adjust, muscles aching, hearts racing, but humans were stubborn. They pushed through. "Doctor." Wren's sensors detected something unusual in the soil: rich mineral deposits and unique organic compounds. "This could be the key," he said. "We can use this planet to build sustainable food sources, maybe even improve our bodies for this environment." Alara raised an eyebrow. "Adaptation, you mean bioengineering humans?" Wren nodded. "We have no choice. The planet is harsh, crops may fail, humans may get sick, but if we adapt ourselves and our plants, we can survive." The first colony was built in secrecy, hidden from any possible observers. Underground shelters connected by tunnels kept the people safe from storms and predators. Human ingenuity came alive: water recycling systems, fusion-powered energy plants, and biodomes for early crops. Life was hard. Every day required work. Every night brought dangers: storms of acid rain, strange predators with tough exoskeletons, and the constant fear that the exiled humans were being watched. And they were. Far above, a small alien probe floated silently through orbit. Commander Drax, a representative of the alien enforcers, had been assigned to monitor humanity. He underestimated humans. In his species, survival depended on strength and hierarchy. But humans had a different kind of power: creativity and unpredictability. He watched as humans worked tirelessly to build farms and energy grids. He observed their arguments, their solutions, and their stubborn hope. And he frowned. They were not dying. They were surviving, and that was unexpected. Months passed. Crops began to grow. Small animals adapted to human shelters. Children played under artificial skies, laughing, unaware of the exile that had brought them here. Humans began to feel like a real civilization again, but the planet was not forgiving. A violent storm destroyed part of the settlement. Fusion generators failed and tunnels flooded. Many cried, many despaired, but Captain Voss gathered the survivors. "Do you give up?" she asked. Her voice echoed through the shelter. "Do we let this planet win, or do we show it that humans survive because we never stop?" The answer was unanimous. Humans repaired what was broken. They redesigned the shelters, reinforced the tunnels, and made the generators stronger. Every failure became a lesson. Every danger became an opportunity to adapt. One day, while exploring the northern plains, a small survey team discovered an unusual rock formation. Dr. Wren examined it. "This is a rare mineral," he said. It can be used in energy cells. If we process it properly, it can power the colony for decades. Aurora smiled for the first time in months. Then we are stronger than we were before. Exile cannot stop us. Humans began to expand cautiously. Underground cities connected by tunnels grew into small urban centers. Vertical farms fed the population. Children learned the ways of survival, how to read weather patterns, how to engineer new crops, how to make tools from limited resources. Commander Drax returned to report to his superiors. Humans are adapting, he said, his eyes narrowed. They may not be dangerous yet, but they are clever. Humans celebrated their first year on Aurora Prime. They did not have the luxury of leisure, but they had hope. They had survival, and they had each other. One night, Aurora looked up at the stars. She knew that the rest of the galaxy had written humanity off. They thought humans weak, reckless, and disposable. But she also knew that humans had something no one else truly understood, the refusal to give up even when the odds were against them. Dr. Wren joined her. "Do you think they will come back?" he asked. Aurora shook her head. "Doesn't matter. If they come back, they will see what humans can do, and they will not expect it." A sudden signal flashed on the monitors. A small alien probe had scanned Aurora Prime and sent a report. Someone in the galaxy was watching. The humans did not panic. They had survived storms, hunger, and isolation. They had survived the exile itself, and they would survive this too. Aurora turned to her crew. "Prepare for whatever comes next," she said. "We will survive. We will thrive, and one day the galaxy will know that humanity cannot be ignored." The stars above seemed colder now, but also filled with possibility. For humans, exile was not the end. It was the beginning of a new story, a story of survival, innovation, and unstoppable determination. And so, in the darkness of the Shadow Expanse, humans built their first hidden city on Aurora Prime. Every tunnel dug, every crop planted, every shelter reinforced was a message. Humanity endures, humanity adapts, humanity triumphs, and somewhere in the vastness of space, eyes watched, taking note. The galaxy would soon hear the name human again, but not as a weak species. They would hear it as a force of ingenuity, courage, and unyielding spirit. The story of humanity's exile had just begun. Years had passed since humanity first set foot on Aurora Prime. What had begun as a hidden underground settlement had grown into a thriving network of cities, connected by tunnels and transport lines. Humans had adapted to the planet's harsh conditions, creating crops that grew in rocky soil and energy systems that ran on the minerals discovered by Dr. Cale Wren. The colony was no longer just surviving, it was thriving. Captain Alara Voss walked through one of the main city hubs, observing the activity. Children ran along elevated walkways, laughing despite the thin air. Engineers adjusted fusion cores, keeping energy flowing. Farmers tended to vertical gardens, their hands steady as they nurtured plants genetically modified to survive the planet's extreme conditions. Every movement, every task, spoke of determination. Humans had transformed adversity into opportunity. "We're ready to expand," Alara said, turning to Dr. Wren. His eyes reflected the glow of the city lights beneath the transparent dome. "Expanding cautiously," Wren corrected. "We cannot afford mistakes, but yes, we can send teams to scout nearby systems. Stealth ships are ready. We can reach new resources without being detected." And so, humanity began to stretch its reach. Stealth probes slipped through the system, collecting information, mapping nearby planets, and returning with data. Some planets were barren, others hostile, but a few held promise. They were raw, untamed worlds, the perfect laboratories for human ingenuity. But humanity was not as alone as they believed. Commander Drax, the alien enforcer, had returned. This time he did not hide. He observed humanity from orbit, transmitting detailed reports back to the Galactic Council. His superiors expected a weak, disorganized species, easy to contain if needed. But every report contradicted their assumptions. Humans were clever, unpredictable, dangerous in ways the Council had not foreseen. Meanwhile, life on Aurora Prime continued to evolve. Humans began building fleet ships, not for war, but for exploration and defense. They trained pilots in tactics that emphasized speed, adaptation, and ingenuity rather than brute force. The pilots learned to exploit weaknesses in much larger alien vessels, using unpredictable maneuvers and clever technology. Even children were taught strategies in simulations, learning to think like tacticians. Dr. Wren worked tirelessly on bioengineering projects. New crops grew in extreme climates, and experimental techniques allowed humans to adapt their physiology to Aurora Prime's environment. Humans were changing themselves, not out of desperation, but to ensure survival. The first test of human ingenuity came sooner than expected. A violent solar storm erupted from Aurora Prime's sun, sending waves of radiation that threatened the colony's fusion cores and communication systems. Alara gathered the leaders of the settlement. "We have to protect the city," she said. "Every system we've built must survive. If we fail, everything collapses." Engineers raced through the tunnels, diverting energy from non-essential systems. Fusion cores were reinforced with new shielding techniques devised by Wren and his team. Children and civilians helped by manually closing protective hatches and rerouting power. Within hours, the worst of the storm passed. Humans had survived not because of strength, but because of preparation, adaptation, and teamwork. This success did not go unnoticed. Commander Drax sent an urgent report to the Council. Humanity had survived a natural disaster that would have destroyed colonies of more technologically advanced species. "Impossible," Drax's superior hissed. "They are weak. They cannot survive." "Yet they do," Drax replied, watching the celebrations below. Humans had gathered in the central plaza, singing and dancing. Their joy was not arrogance, it was triumph over adversity, a testament to human resilience. The next phase of humanity's rise involved interaction with neighboring star systems. Scouts discovered planets with failing civilizations, struggling with food shortages or energy crises. Humans sent supplies, food, energy modules, and advice, but carefully without drawing attention to themselves. These small acts of assistance built quiet admiration. Word of humanity spread, whispered among species who had never expected such cleverness from a supposedly exiled, weak race. But not all attention was friendly. Commander Drax, frustrated by humanity's ingenuity, tried to sabotage one of the new farming cities. He deployed a series of drones to damage the infrastructure. Humans detected the intrusion almost immediately. Their response was precise and calculated. They used decoy systems to mislead the drones, luring them into traps while reinforcing the real city. When the attack ended, Drax reported another anomaly. Humans had not only defended themselves but improved the city during the operation. Each failure became a lesson. Each challenge strengthened humanity. Alara and Dr. Wren convened a meeting of the city's council. "They are testing us," Alara said, "and we are passing every test." Wren nodded. "We need to prepare for direct contact. The Council will eventually send envoys. We cannot let them underestimate us." Plans were made. Humans trained fleets for both defense and diplomacy, prepared strategies for negotiation, and refined their technology. Every advancement was made with one goal in mind: survival, recognition, and proving that humanity was more than exile. Then one day, a fleet of small alien ships appeared at the edge of Aurora Prime's system. Unlike Drax's solitary reconnaissance, this was an official envoy from the Galactic Council. The ships hovered silently, observing the human colonies. Alara stood on the command deck, her heart steady. "They've come to evaluate us," she said. "Not attack, but we cannot let them see weakness." The humans did not panic. Instead, they demonstrated their civilization: efficient energy systems, thriving vertical farms, clean water distribution, and fleets of stealth ships. They showed the results of years of ingenuity, determination, and adaptation. The envoy sent a delegation to meet with Alara. It was a tense moment. Humans could not afford to appear weak, but they also did not wish for unnecessary conflict. Alara greeted the delegation with calm authority. "We are humans," she said. "We were exiled, we survived, we adapted. And now we stand ready to show the galaxy that we are more than what you believed." The delegation looked on, impressed despite themselves. They had expected to see desperation, chaos, and failure. Instead, they saw order, creativity, and discipline. Over the following weeks, humans continued to interact with the delegation. Demonstrations of technology and tactics showed that humans could solve problems quickly, adapt to extreme environments, and even assist struggling civilizations. Word spread quietly. Humans were no longer a weak, reckless species. They were clever, resilient, and capable of leadership. Commander Drax watched from orbit, his earlier underestimation turning into concern. "They are different," he said. "Stronger than we imagined. Cleverer than any species I have encountered." Alara, aware that observation continued, prepared her people for future challenges. She trained diplomats, engineers, and fleet commanders in the skills necessary to face both allies and potential adversaries. Humans would not be passive, they would define their destiny. In private, Dr. Wren reflected on the changes in humanity. "We started as survivors," he said. "Now we are innovators. Each challenge has forced us to think differently, to adapt faster, to act smarter than anyone else. And the galaxy is starting to notice." Alara nodded. "We are no longer hiding. We are building a civilization that even the Council cannot ignore. And one day the galaxy will understand that humanity is not weak, it is unstoppable." But not all was settled. Though humans had proven their ingenuity, there were still forces in the galaxy who feared change, who distrusted the unpredictable. Some species had long relied on hierarchy, brute strength, and rigid rules. Humanity's creativity threatened those old orders. Still, humans continued to thrive. Cities grew larger. Research expanded into new territories. Families built lives in places that had once been considered uninhabitable. Humans learned to read the stars in new ways, predicting storms, resource shifts, and even alien movements. And always they remembered the exile. It was a lesson, a motivator, and a reminder. The galaxy had underestimated them once. It would not do so again. Aurora Prime had become more than a refuge. It was a proving ground. Every decision, every invention, every act of survival was a statement. Humanity would endure. Humanity would grow. Humanity would shock the galaxy. As the first year of the new human expansion ended, Captain Alara Voss stood on a cliff overlooking a valley where one of the largest cities had risen. Smoke from fusion reactors mixed with the soft light of Aurora Prime's twin moons. Children played on terraces. Farmers tended crops adapted to rocky soil. Engineers checked energy grids. All around, humans worked, laughed, and lived. Alara smiled. This was just the beginning. Somewhere in the darkness above, alien eyes watched. But now, the observers were no longer seeing helpless exiles. They were seeing a civilization that had risen against impossible odds. A civilization that had taken exile and turned it into opportunity. A civilization that would not be ignored. And in that moment, humanity's next challenge became clear. Not merely survival, but proving that their creativity, resilience, and ingenuity could redefine the galaxy's expectations forever. For the first time, humans looked to the stars not with fear, but with ambition. They were no longer exiles. They were builders, innovators, and pioneers. And the galaxy had no idea what was coming next. Years had passed since humanity first landed on Aurora Prime. The hidden colony had grown into a network of cities, forests, and farms. Humans had adapted to the planet's harsh climate, engineered crops that thrived in rocky soil, and built energy systems that ran on the planet's unique minerals. Humans were no longer simply surviving, they were flourishing. Captain Alara Voss stood on the bridge of the flagship Odyssey, looking out at the fleet of human ships that now orbited the planet. Sleek vessels, designed for stealth, exploration, and rapid response, filled the void. Each ship represented not just human engineering, but human ingenuity, the ability to turn exile into opportunity. Dr. Kale Wren approached her, holding a tablet with planetary scans. "Our systems are fully operational," he said. "Food supplies are abundant, energy grids are stable, we can support expansion beyond Aurora Prime." Alara nodded. "And we will. The galaxy thinks we are weak, they think we are reckless. It is time to prove them wrong." The Galactic Council had not forgotten humanity. After years of reports from Commander Drax and other observers, they decided to send an official delegation to Aurora Prime. The Council intended to evaluate humanity. Some hoped to reintegrate them, while others feared what humans could become if left unchecked. The delegation arrived in a fleet of shining vessels, unlike anything humanity had built. Their ships were massive, powerful, and intimidating. Humans watched from their own vessels, ready to respond if conflict arose. Alara turned to her officers. "Remember, we are not here to attack. We are here to demonstrate who we are. The galaxy must understand what humanity can do, not through force, but through intelligence, creativity, and determination." When the alien envoys landed, they expected a primitive society. Instead, they were met with thriving cities, clean energy, and efficient infrastructure. Vertical farms reached high into the sky, feeding tens of thousands. Fusion generators powered entire districts without a single failure. Children played safely in parks, oblivious to the exile that had shaped their lives. Dr. Wren guided the delegation through scientific labs where humans had engineered crops that could survive extreme climates, built medical facilities that healed faster than the Council's standard technology, and created tools that allowed humans to live comfortably even in the harshest conditions. Aurora spoke to the delegation. We were exiled because the Council feared our unpredictability. We were told we were reckless, but humanity survives because we adapt, we innovate, we turn challenges into opportunities. We are not reckless, we are creative, determined, and unyielding. The delegation watched, silent at first, then murmurs began. Some envoys whispered admiration. Others exchanged concerned glances. Humans were not only surviving, they were thriving, innovating, and surpassing expectations. But humans were not content with impressing others. They had one more demonstration to prove their capability. A sudden crisis struck Aurora Prime. A massive solar flare threatened to overload the planetary energy grid, potentially destroying cities and the entire infrastructure. Aurora immediately coordinated the response. Engineers diverted power from non-essential systems, creating shields around fusion cores. Scientists activated experimental energy absorption panels that had never been tested on such a scale. Fleet pilots maneuvered satellites into protective positions. Civilians assisted in every way possible, sealing off sensitive areas and monitoring water and food supplies. Hours passed. Tension filled the air. But humans worked tirelessly, adapting to every problem as it arose. Systems failed, then recovered. Panels overloaded, then were rerouted. Every challenge was met with a solution, every obstacle turned into an opportunity. By the time the solar flare passed, the city was intact. Energy grids hummed steadily, crops remained safe, and the delegation had witnessed humanity's ability to adapt under pressure. The lead envoy stepped forward, eyes wide. "We underestimated you," they said. "Your resilience, your intelligence, it surpasses anything we expected." Aurora smiled. "We were not given permission to exist, yet we survived, we adapted, we thrived. This is what humanity does." But admiration came with caution. Some council members were wary of humans, rapid growth, and unconventional methods. Humanity's rise threatened the traditional power structures that had dominated the galaxy for centuries. Aurora understood this. She addressed both allies and skeptics. "We do not seek dominance. We seek survival, cooperation, and recognition. We offer our knowledge and our abilities not to conquer, but to help. And if the galaxy tries to suppress us, it will see that humans cannot be ignored or defeated through fear." Over the following weeks, humans continued to demonstrate their capabilities. Scientists helped struggling civilizations stabilize failing ecosystems. Engineers improved energy distribution on nearby planets. Fleet pilots taught tactical strategies that emphasized ingenuity over brute strength. Each act of assistance proved that humans could be valuable partners while remaining independent. Commander Drax, watching from orbit, reported reluctantly to the Council. "They are remarkable. They innovate, adapt, and endure. If left unchecked, they will surpass every other species in ingenuity and strategy." Back on Aurora Prime, Dr. Wren reflected on how far humans had come. "We started as exiles," he said. "We had no one, no resources, and no support. And yet we built something the galaxy cannot ignore. We adapted ourselves, our technology, and even our planet to survive, and now we thrive." Aurora looked out at the cities below. "Humanity will never stop. Every challenge we face makes us stronger. Every difficulty teaches us something new. The galaxy may try to underestimate us, but they will learn, sometimes slowly, sometimes suddenly, that humans are capable of incredible things." The Council eventually returned to their home systems, leaving humans with recognition but no direct interference. Some species admired humanity, seeking advice and cooperation. Others remained cautious, wary of humans' unpredictability. But one thing was certain: humanity's exile had transformed them into a civilization unlike any other. Aurora Prime became a symbol of human ingenuity. Cities expanded into towering metropolises. Farms stretched across valleys. Fleets patrolled the system, ready to explore, defend, or assist. Humans had taken what was meant to destroy them, exile, and turned it into opportunity. Children born on Aurora Prime knew stories of the exile not as tragedy, but as inspiration. They learned to innovate, adapt, and work together. They understood that humanity's strength was not in physical power, but in creativity, resilience, and the refusal to surrender. Aurora stood on the observation deck of the Odyssey, looking at the galaxy beyond. Stars shimmered, full of possibilities. Some still saw humans as reckless or weak. Others had begun to recognize the truth. Humanity had proven that even in exile, they could create a civilization that surprised and challenged the expectations of the entire galaxy. Doctor. Ren joined her. "Do you think they truly understand now?" he asked. Alara smiled. "They understand something, yes, that humanity cannot be predicted, that we endure, that we create, that we adapt, and one day they will know the full extent of what we can do." The stars above Aurora Prime were no longer just lights in the distance. They were the promise of exploration, of knowledge, and of future triumphs. Humans would reach further, explore more, and continue to build a legacy that would inspire the galaxy for generations. In the end, exile had not destroyed humanity. It had forged them. Every challenge, every obstacle, every act of perseverance had shaped a civilization that combined courage, intelligence, and determination. Humans had learned to survive, to thrive, and to innovate. They had adapted to a harsh planet, outsmarted observers, and demonstrated their value to the galaxy. And in doing so, they had sent a message that could not be ignored. Humanity endures. Humanity adapts. Humanity thrives. Humanity shocks the galaxy. And so, in the vast darkness of space, a new era began. The galaxy had watched humans rise from exile, and now it would watch as they reshaped what it meant to be a civilization capable of greatness. Captain Alara Voss turned to her crew. "This is only the beginning," she said. "We have survived, we have adapted, and now we will show the galaxy what humanity truly is." The crew cheered. Ships rose from the planet's surface, ready to explore distant systems, to share knowledge, and to demonstrate that humans were a force unlike any other. Aurora Prime glowed beneath them, a beacon of ingenuity, courage, and resilience. The story of humanity had reached its turning point. Exiled from the stars, they had not only survived, they had built a civilization that shocked the galaxy, and the universe would never forget it.